government is committed to developing a green economy to ensure the sustainable management of its natural resources and balance economic growth through the preservation of the country's environmental treasures for generations to come. This week on InfoHub Extended, we take a look at the Green State Development Strategy Vision 2040, a framework with an objective of ensuring the good life for all Guyanese.
Are you ready to embark on a truly epic adventure to an undiscovered corner of South America, where some of the most spectacular natural attractions are unveiled within a beautifully diverse landscape? From the wetlands and savannas to the ancient mountains, magnificent waterways and lush enriching rainforest would provide a vast playground for some of the most exotic and breathtaking creatures on the planet, including many of the world's giant species. This untouched land of mystery and wonder serves up an exclusive experience for travelers. So are you ready for a new, awe-inspiring adventure? Welcome back to nature. Welcome to Guyana.
Ghana's Green State Development Strategy sets out to guide the country's economic and socio-cultural development over the next 20 years. It lays out His Excellency President David Granger's and his government's principal foundations for inclusive green economic and social growth. It intends to provide a roadmap for achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and related targets, and outlines a long-term vision for a prosperous and equitable future for all Guyanese. The objective of the strategy is to reorient and diversify Ghana's economy, reducing reliance on traditional sectors and opening up new sustainable income and investment opportunities in higher value-added and growth sectors. Upon entering office in May of 2015, President Granger moved directly to begin the quest for a green economy. According to the head of state, the government has envisioned that the Green State Development Strategy would be based on the sustainable use of biodiversity and a decarbonized approach that would provide an inclusive and better quality of life for all Guyanese. This would be within the ecological limits of our country's natural resources and with the relevant physical and human capital.
Immediately after coming into office, the coalition government, with assistance from the United Nations Environment Programme, commenced a series of consultation for the preparation of a framework for the strategy.
In May earlier this year, President Granger received a copy of the strategy, the GSDS, from the United Nations Environment Programme's Director for Latin America and the Caribbean, Leo McHelman, at the Ministry of the Presidency. The head of state said the strategy was not important not only to Guyana, but to countries within the Guyana Shield and the CARICOM sister territories.
It is a matter of tremendous pride that we, representing 6 parties in Guyana, should have stewardship at this particular point in time. And it is very important to us that this strategy emerges at this point in time in Guyana. The world is realizing almost by the day that climate change is a grim, relentless reality. There's no postponement, there's no avoidance. When I think hurricanes in Houston, Texas, something's got to be happening. And hardly a day passes that we do not see the adverse impacts of climate change.
President Granger said then that it was a plus for Guyana to be ahead of the game. He noted, however, that government will work towards building stronger relationships with other states so that efforts could be combined in the fight against climate change. The president believes that with the strategy there must be education. He said that the implementation of the strategy would be frustrated if the populace, from the smallest child to the oldest citizen, is not educated or environmentally conscious.
We know the need to ensure that our environment is protected. So our strategy is to combine what God has given us, these precious assets of our environment, with what is happening in the economy. Like many other countries in the Caribbean, we started off more or less as a sugar colony, but now we're moving into petroleum, we become an oil state. But fortunately, we're becoming an oil state with our eyes opened by this GSDS, the Green State Development Strategy. And I think many of the other countries in different parts of the world which went into petroleum without the benefit of having this type of advice, might have suffered because they didn't have the management, they didn't have the consciousness, the awareness of what damage could be done.
United Nations Environment Director for Latin America and the Caribbean, Leo Hellman, said that Ghana's GSDS Vision 2040 represents a follow-up on the vision delivered in October of 2018. He explained that the 20-year National Development Policy reflects the guiding vision and principles of the Green Agenda, which is an inclusive and prosperous Guyana that provides a good quality of life for all its citizens.
The strategy has 8 development objectives that convey 3 essential messages. The first one is to manage the natural resource wealth. The second one is to support economic resilience and diversification. And the third one is to build human and institutional capacities. I would encourage all of you, members of Cabinet, to be familiar with this document, particularly the executive summary, to have your staff intimately knowledgeable on the document in order to advise you and guide you in terms of the key recommendations and policy guidance.
Discussions on the Green State Development Strategy were taken to communities across the 10 administrative regions. Officials from the Department of the Environment heard from every sector and Guyanese at grassroots levels on the future of Guyana and the GSDS.
The Green State Development Strategy has the path that will build greater economic resilience and human capital. It falls neatly within the administration's push to secure the good life for all. While the low-carbon development strategy was implemented under the former administration, it was said to be a single-source transaction and not a strategy.
Under the coalition government, the GSDS is a comprehensive document comprising strategic actions, policies, and programs that guide the country's development trajectory over the next 2 decades. Stakeholder Management Coordinator at the Department of Environment and the point person on the GSDS, Unika Stellingberg, shared that the strategy goes beyond environmental protection. According to Stellingberg, the policy encompasses transparency, good governance, accountability, diversification, and fiscal policy, among others.
So we work to clarify what the Green State Strategy is. So it's not about planting trees, it's not about solar panels on your roof. So for persons that may think this is an environmental strategy that is looking at preserving the environment, yes, the end result would be preserve the environment, but it's an economic development strategy that shows how we can develop every single sector of the economy without degrading our natural environment.
Within the GSDS, every sector will see a transformation. The Education Ministry has already begun the process of including the strategy into its curriculum.
On September 4, the Ministry of Education received the proposed curriculum guide that includes content based at aligning teaching to the government's Green State Development Strategy. The recommended content was developed by the Ministry of the Presidency's Department of the Environment and handed over to the Education Ministry's National Center for Educational Resource Development. Led by working groups, subjects such as English language, the integrated and agricultural sciences, along with social studies, were examined for their comprehensive environmental coverage. Disciplines such as agriculture and forestry, biodiversity, climate change, land geology, and geography were focused on. Apart from education, the GSDS is also impacting sectors such as tourism, rice and sugar production, agriculture in general, and oil and gas, among others. Currently, agriculture and bauxite are the country's main sources of income. However, with first oil due in 2020 and recently being named as the #1 ecotourism destination in the world, Ghana's economy is rapidly diversifying. The GSDS envisages that the oil and gas industry is set to become Ghana's largest sector. This will have positive spillovers across the whole economy and be responsible for almost 70% of merchandise exports and half of the GDP in 5 years.
Budget 2020 will be one with a difference. Minister of Finance Winston Jordan said that the country's fiscal plan for the new year will be guided by the strategy.
According to Finance Minister Jordan, Ghana's economic trust is being guided by a long-term strategy in shaping the policy and programs for its sectors. He said that the concept of sound education, social protection, low-carbon development, new economic opportunities, justice, and political empowerment will guide budgeting for 2020 and beyond.
We must develop the skill sets that can readily support the petroleum and the non-petroleum sectors of our economy. Every single region must have a regional development plan that is able to realize the objectives of the Green State Development Strategy in their own right. Plans of action for regional development, better known by the acronym PARDS, have already commenced with regions 10 and 9 being substantially advanced in terms of guiding their Budget 2020 interventions. We must use the lessons learned from the two experiences of developing the PARDS to accelerate the development of regional strategic plans in the 8 remaining regions.
He described 2020 as one that bodes very well for Guyana as it prepares to join the world of oil-producing nations. The veteran economist emphasized that to ensure good governance and transparent management of Ghana's petroleum resources, the coalition government has ensured that a carefully considered legislative framework is in place.
Next year is certainly a propitious year. Guyana is about to join the world of oil-producing nations. We should be excited. It will mean substantially improved fiscal space that is room for spending. If we effectively manage the petroleum resources that are anticipated to flow from this new revenue stream, we will stand to realize an accelerated pace of economic transformation and development that so far we have yearned for, but albeit have proved elusive to date.
On the occasion of World Environment Day in June this year, President Granger had reminded Guyanese that the protection of the environment was not an option, but an obligation. He said Guyana's constitution provides that the state shall protect the environment for the benefit of present and future generations.
The government, in compliance with the Constitution, has taken steps to protect human life by safeguarding the environment. It is committed to preventing pollution and ecological degradation by preventing the contamination of our waterways, the phasing out of the importation of single-use plastics, and improving solid waste management. We are Guyana. We are proud to be part of the Guyana Shield, the lungs of the earth, one of the world's last remaining blocks of pristine rainforests, covering an area that is larger than Greenland.
He informed that the Green State Development Strategy would become a model of environmental stewardship. United Nations Resident Representative Mikiko Tanaka stated that the Green State Development Strategy is an ambitious and transformative national development vision and strategy that is well aligned with the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. She pledged the UN support towards the implementation of the strategy.
The fight against global warming and poverty eradication, leaving no one behind, cannot be won without this level of ambition and transformation. The Green State Development Strategy continues the pathway started under the Low Carbon Development Strategy. It diversifies and accelerates the development trajectory appropriate for the post-2015 era, which for the world is particularly marked by climate change, and for Guyana is marked by the advent of oil. It goes without saying that implementation is going to be challenging and business cannot be done as usual.
The quest for the good life for all through the Green State Development Strategy is not centered only on the lives of Guyanese on the coastland. As Minister of State, the Honorable Dawn Hastings-Williams says, Vision 2040 is also pushing development in the hinterland communities.
The Minister of State noted that the government has embarked on the strategy, which will result in Guyanese accessing the best from the health and education sectors and sustainable economic activities. The first of its kind in the region, the 20-year National Development Policy reflects the guiding vision and principles of the Green Agenda. The central objective, being development, provides a better quality of life for all Guyanese derived from the country's natural wealth, its diversity of people, and abundant natural resources.
It is an economic strategy that will include all of our people in the hinterland, on the coast, like what we're talking about, empowering people with information. The GSDS is a strategy that the government has started to embark on. And the result of the GSDS should be that Guyanese, citizens of Guyana, should be happy, they should be satisfied. And by that I mean we are looking at health-wise, education-wise, sustainable economic activities where our citizens, can be engaged in the economic activity that's sustainable.
By 2040, Guyana's core economic sectors are expected to adopt greener and safer operating practices, achieve high levels of productivity and sustainability through the adoption of advanced technology and management best practices, successfully compete in regional and international markets, and be supported by strong and effective institutions, all through the GSDS. This has brought us to the end of this week's edition of InfoHub Extended. Please do join us again next time.